And we're live. Welcome to UTB Blogcast number 93, 7 away from 100. We've got a slimmed down crew tonight. Dave's lost a little weight.
20 pounds.
But it's Dave. Yeah. That's actually true, right?
It is.
So we've got Dave, Roy, and we found him. We had to pull the skateboard out from under him, but James is back.
Yay.
Do you have any idea when the last time you were here, James?
It's been a while, brother.
I seriously wonder how long it's been.
I bet
we were.
As you said, this is number 93. I bet it was like number 13 or something.
That's crazy.
Tell us all where you're at, man. Where are you?
Well, it's good to be back, and I hope that I'm able to add something to this one, because I feel like even though I sort of follow as much as I can on the blog site and I'm in the forums a little bit, I feel a little out of touch. But I'm starting a day business that I've been working on for a couple of years and wanted to start for many years. And then I'm waiting tables at night, and I got some really neat stuff going on for my day job. So I'm really excited about that. And I think once things gel a little bit and I don't need to do the night job, I can help out with UTB a little more.
That's great, but that's not what Dave asked.
What'd he say?
I said something absolutely unintelligible, obviously. No, I was wondering, like, physically where you were on the planet and what the hell you're doing there.
Sorry, man. I'm in North America. I'm in Delaware at one of the beach resorts called Dewey Beach.
Nice.
Dewey.
Yeah. It's actually very cool.
Huey up the coast and Louie down the coast?
That's right. Huey, Dewey, Louie, yeah. It's very nice, though. It's a nice little town.
I frequent Sonova Beach. Anyway, never mind.
Okay, so what's in the news this week? We finally got an American carrier to carry the BlackBerry Key 1.
Yes, sprinting to the finish line. Or something.
Not so sure you'd want to call it a sprint.
Well, what are they? They are, it's online only, is it? Or did I?
It's online only right now. I believe next week it will
28.
be more widely available.
28 it will be in stores.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So it'll finally be in a store that we can see, hopefully.
Well, that's good news. I mean, it in a way, it reminds me of TELUS up here, who decided that it was only for business or corporate customers first, and then everybody gave them crap, and they opened it up for consumer use. But this, I like to hear this because it's actually planned that they're going to do it and stick it in a store. So good for you, Sprint, because you've been a laggard, let's say, in the past. And it's great to see you're hopping on this particular bandwagon, because I think it's a good one.
They really have to. I believe the last BlackBerry you could get from them is a Q10. I think that's how long it's been since they've had a new BlackBerry. I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they didn't have the Priv, and they didn't have. Did they have the Z30?
No. Down here, the only carrier that had the Z30 was the Verizon.
Okay, right.
That TELUS story is pretty neat, Dave. I don't know the whole thing in its entirety, but my understanding is that there was such an uproar that they just finally listened to the marketplace, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm really glad that it happened. It's too bad that everybody had to, pull up a pitchfork and a torch and go marching. That's too bad. It's not the first time that's happened in Canada. Rogers was like that with the Z30 when it came out, I think, and there was much uproar about that, and they relented and decided to they weren't going to carry it at all, actually, and and the same thing happened, and so they started carrying it. So it's too bad that we have to be vocal about it, but it's a good thing that they're listening. So yes, you're absolutely correct.
Well, I don't gather that Verizon, sort of responds in the same way. I feel as though they have more interest in some type of contractual arrangements or something on the backside between them and, BlackBerry originally and now BlackBerry Mobile, more than they do the marketplace. You know what I mean? At least in Canada, they're listening, it seems like.
Yeah.
Verizon doesn't listen. I mean, I know that you Verizon users, you love your Verizon. The only thing I can figure is that you don't know what it's like outside of Verizon. Because, I mean, they've got old technology. They're on the CDMA. You have to have specified phones for them, so you can't go out and get your own. They make no excuses that they're the most expensive carrier. And, I mean, they don't try and argue that. There's no reason for them to say otherwise. The only thing they've got is in certain parts of the world, not here, they've got great coverage. But, I mean, like, I totally think, I know nothing, I haven't spoke to anybody about this, but BlackBerry Mobile released a CDMA Key 1 that is set up for Verizon, but they released it on their own. So I have a feeling that Verizon has no intentions of carrying the device. I'm pretty sure that every Verizon customer could walk into Verizon and Verizon wouldn't pull their head out of their own tail to listen to their customers. Just my opinion.
Isn't Sprint CDMA, or am I?
It is CDMA, but there's a few differences, and that's part of it. Some of the Sprint customers were asking if they could grab this unlocked CDMA phone that's set up for Verizon and used on the Sprint network, and Sprint was telling them that no, they wouldn't be supporting it. Because from what I understand,
there's a difference between not supporting.
There is a difference, but there's not. That's true, except that because Alpha explained this to us before, they have to like flip the switch to allow the phone to operate on their network.
Right.
It's not like GSM where AT&T has no idea what my SIM card is in right now. They don't know. But apparently, according to Alpha, Verizon has to have that operating.
Right.
Brad, I think you're probably right. I mean, about your take on Verizon, I agree with you. I don't think they listen, and I think they feel like they're too big that they don't have to. And I think that they are still resting on their laurels. They originally did have, compared to the other networks, I think better coverage and maybe better service in terms of customer service. But in any event, I don't think that's the case anymore, especially with AT&T. And right now, I'm locked into it because I wanted a phone quicker than I needed one, and I just financed it through them. And so, but I keep thinking I'm going to get off. But what's going to happen to me is, if
hey, this is a family show,
they come out with something else, I might want, BlackBerry has another phone I want, and then I'm going to get that too. So I don't know. We'll see.
And I hate to say it because their CEO was the first person that ever blocked me on Twitter, but. T-Mobile, they offer great deals, man. They offer great deals. They have great coverage, and they offer to buy out people's contracts. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. I keep thinking about running over there because honestly, where I sit and where their plan sits, I get essentially the same deal. Difference being that taxes are part of my bill at T-Mobile, and I pay them additionally at AT&T. And, coverage, anything of that nature is really no difference between the two down here. So it wouldn't be that big a deal, except AT&T just really pissed me off a week or so ago. So I may be on T-Mobile next Blogcast. I don't know.
Well, then you'll have to get the purple guy or magenta man or whatever you want to call him on the Blogcast.
Will I do another Dear John letter?
Yeah, or something. Get it going. Or something.
I used to drive home from work when I was at a consulting firm, and there was a little business. It was one of those Verizon stores, but it wasn't a real Verizon store. It was like a Verizon authorized dealer, and they always had the little Android guy standing out there, the little robot, little green uniform, and I so bad wanted to get someone to film me jumping out. Of course, this was before BlackBerry adopted the OS, but I wanted to get someone to film me jumping out and just like knock them over or something, I really wanted to do that. But anyway. It's
such violence, James. Such violence.
And the robot slam in public.
He's on the side of the road doing his thing. I don't even know what he was doing, but it's just funny to see it.
He was androiding.
Yeah, he was just sitting there innocently having his Kit Kat, and some guy jumps out of the car. Does a body slam.
It would have probably went viral.
Well, back to Sprint. If you recall, when BlackBerry Mobile put out their press release, the only carrier and the first carrier that was mentioned was Sprint, right? So automatically the rest of us are like, oh man, because there's no way I'm going to Sprint. I'm just not doing that. And it's like, oh, we're gonna have to wait forever. And then the unlock phones arrived, the unlock GSM phones arrived, and then the unlock CDMA phones arrived. And it's kind of funny that the first carrier to be mentioned, their customers are the last people to be able to use the Key 1 here in the US anyway.
Yeah.
I found it funny.
So your reason for never, ever, ever, did I mention ever, going to Sprint is ...
Oh, their coverage is terrible. Like
it?
here where I live, I could like be talking to you on the phone on a Sprint phone and walk to my bathroom and I have zero coverage.
Okay, well up here in
Sprint's just a joke.
Up here in Iglooville, we get US channel.
Up in Iglooville, Dave is frozen.
I was wondering if that was just me.
Winter is coming. Oh.
Hey, Brad, I had a little flip phone from Sprint before I went to Verizon, and it was an all-digital phone. It didn't use an analog network, and it was one of their first phones. It was tiny.
Verizon thing.
Like a little Star Trek communicator.
Sprint. Yeah, there you go.
And I could not, there's a little beltway that goes around Baltimore City, and I could not keep a call for more than 10 minutes going around that beltway. I would drop calls all the time. I couldn't have more than a 15-minute call if I was moving in my vehicle. It was horrible. I could never go back to them. I just couldn't.
Yeah, it's bad. Dave, you froze for a while. You became a White Walker. Is that what it's called on Game of Thrones?
Yeah, it could be. What I was going to say is that up here, I see commercials of that same guy that used to do Can You Hear Me Now? And I think he was with Verizon or whatever, and he's with Sprint now.
Yeah, that is the best thing Sprint ever did.
Yeah, and they're insinuating that they're within 3% or something of the coverage that the other guys are on CDMA, and James is shaking his head.
No, they say, Dave, if you listen, because I've listened, they say 3% service, but they don't say 3% coverage.
Okay. So
do you know what I mean? So I don't know what they mean. They're like the way they word it, you don't know what they're saying.
Are you saying that? Okay, here comes the question. Has nothing improved, and has nobody tested it?
I haven't tested it, but I know for a fact, because when I first saw those commercials, and like Brad said, I thought it was very clever, but they do not say 3% coverage difference. They never say coverage. They say something else, and I'm thinking to myself, they're just being a little vague so people will assume it's coverage.
Right.
I'm scared of you.
Don't know. I know around here, everybody that's got Sprint complains and gripes and aren't on Sprint for long.
Yeah, up here, there's no such thing as CDMA up here, so I have no reference.
Good for you.
Yeah, Dave did that all himself.
Yeah.
So, Dave, you want to talk about the security updates? Because I still haven't got any.
Well, a long time ago when the earth was green, I bought a DTEC 60, which I think is one hell of a handset and kind of a speed demon, real nice piece of machinery. And it got security updates every month, just like everybody else. And then in and around March, I think, might have been the last monthly update, and they skipped April, if I'm not mistaken, and I got one in March. And then they, June was missing in action, and July was starting to be missing in action for security update on DTEC 60. And today, lo and behold, there's an update, and I'm thinking, wow, cool, I'm going to get July update, and it will have just skipped and included the June update. Kind of like what happened with the May update that skipped April. I've probably confused everybody, including myself. Anyway, yeah. So it was like the last few months it was skipping a month. And so today I punched the update button and looked at the size. It was 117 meg and a bit, or some 117 and a half. And of course you go through the download and update and blah, 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 and the reboot. And when it booted back up, I saw a J month, but it wasn't July. It was June. So, hallelujah, it's still on the boards for getting an update. But interesting that we're halfway through July and it's the June update, not the July. So that's just an interesting footnote. But one thing that I have noticed is obnoxious as hell, and I haven't figured out because I've been really busy this afternoon, is why this is happening. And this is, if I open up my camera, I get a notification that says, hey, Google notices that you just opened your camera. And then if you press on that notification, it shows the map of where you're taking a picture, which is, you know, I kind of know where I am when I'm pushing that button, but that's just me. Maybe some people are a little drunk or something. So I haven't quite been able to figure out, and I only spent 5 minutes doing it, but I looked through apps, I looked through DTEC, I looked through ordinary settings, and I haven't found the place to turn that crap off because it drives me nuts. Every time I open, not just take a picture, but open the camera app, I should do that right now just for giggles.
That's creepy.
Well, it's weird. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it just notified me that I opened my camera app. And there it's showing me that I actually did that. And I'll open that up. And there's a little map of where I am and the fact that I opened my camera app.
That was weird.
Yeah, and there's another app that did that too. I can't remember what it was. It might have been DTEC. I can't remember. And I have yet to be able to find where to turn that off. Additionally, to try and get rid of it, I went and rebooted my phone, and it shut down properly. But at initial reboot, it started making this humming noise, and I did not recognize the tune. I tried for the life of me. Anyway, it was this monotonous noise, and I thought, what the hell? This thing is melting down. I don't know what. And then that lasted for 5 seconds and booted up. But as you can see, it still notifies me that I opened my camera app. So I don't know if anybody out there is seeing that same thing, but
Is he on Marshmallow or what OS is he on, Brad?
He's on Marshmallow if he's on a DTEC.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I've got my my key one, and I've got a DTEC 50 here. Both are up and running right now. I haven't got security update on either of them. Now my DTEC 50 was a carrier locked phone that was unlocked, and then my key one was one of the Best Buy phones, right? So I'm just like, where's my updates? I don't know if maybe AT&T is stepping in there and bottlenecking stuff for me, even though they should have nothing to do with the updates on these phones.
Well, I kind of heard that there was a July update coming on Monday.
My Priv received the July update 10 days ago, and the key one still didn't get it, but I think it's rolling out. I think in a few days everyone will get it, the key one update.
Yeah, actually, my Priv did get the update. That's right, it did get it. It's been a while.
Me too.
Dave, did you check your DTEC camera permissions?
I did, and I turned location off, and then tried the camera again, and it gave me that notification again, and then I rebooted, and it did it again, and so I've run through DTEC, the camera app itself, which has geolocation turned off, and then some general security settings, and I can't find what that is, because if it's going to do that all the time, it might meet my wall at high velocity.
Well then.
Hey, Brad.
Yes.
So tell me this. This is a little slight change of subject, so you can answer later if you like, but are you swapping out at all with your Key One with another device, or are you totally on the Key One now?
The Key One is my daily driver. My SIM's not coming out of it. My DTEC 50 has my SIM right now because it's new, but that's actually going to one of my folks, and then I'll be back on my Priv as my secondary. I'm actually, wait, where are we? Hold on just a minute. Let me look at our list, because this may be bringing us into the next segment that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's good. I am totally and completely on BlackBerry Android now. My secondary SIM was in my Leap, and I don't see it going back in there. That's something that we were talking about beforehand, James, because I know that how many BlackBerry 10 phones do you have?
I have two Z30s that I actually use, and I have a Q10, which is unfortunately has a keyboard issue because I had it in my pants when I was sweating a lot and it got wet. And then I have a Z10, which needs to be unlocked through BlackBerry Protect, and I have my ex has the password for that.
Oh, I know that you were the guy that, you would change phones, every day. James has left the group. James hasn't joined the group. And I mean, you were as much a BlackBerry 10 fan as any of the rest of us. So I remember you were actually kind of late coming on BlackBerry Android compared to some of us, and you were really hesitant about doing so.
Totally.
So where are you at right now? Tell us about your experience on your Priv.
Well, I think my experience might be a tiny bit interesting and slightly nuanced, but here's the deal. I got the Priv because my contract was up on my what was the last BlackBerry I had? The Z30, I guess? Yeah.
I think so.
And so in any event, I got it and I thought, I'll just experiment with it. I didn't think I was going to put my SIM in it. But I started downloading a lot of apps, of course, and I started playing around with it. And frankly, I fell in love with the hardware immediately, and I have not had any problems with the hardware. I love the screen. I love the camera. I love the keyboard. I love the sliding mechanism. I love everything about it. And so I am using it full time now, and surprisingly so. And I just sort of got sucked into it. And now I don't know that I could go back, because there's a lot of apps, guys, that I use, and they're not fart apps. They're actually, apps that are sort of productivity oriented or totally productivity oriented, or just sort of, like banking apps and Uber and ESPN and MLB and Formula One. And I mean, I could go on and on and on. I love the way the notifications come. I thought I was going to miss the hub. I still have the hub and use it, but I'm not missing it. And man, I just I had to get used to. I still use I use Textra for text messaging, and I still go into the Textra app rather than the hub, generally speaking, to use it.
Really?
I do, because on occasion with MMS, it gets a little, the hub seems to be a little quirky with it, but not very often. But I close the hub a lot. I love the fact that I have the hub on the bottom part of the screen. I don't know the terminology, but it's one of those anchored on the bottom, and I have the little widget or whatever, so you can swipe down and it pops up on your screen, and you can see what's in the hub, and you can scroll. I love being able to peek into the hub that way, and I have the three gestures, and one's my camera, which is really slick because it's always there, and one's my calculator, and one's settings, and man, I'm really jamming. There's a lot of cool apps, man. I mean,
well, you brought up a really good point earlier, and that was regarding updates.
Oh yeah.
So why don't you tell us about your observation there?
Well, okay, so I can't take credit. I was reading something from Engadget or, one of those sites that are fairly decent, and they were talking about Android and how, people crap on Android because they don't have a lot of updates or whatever. And but he said, which seems to me to make perfect sense, and he said that compared to iOS, for instance, that, we don't get a lot of updates as fast, but we have a lot of apps that perform functions that are performed with the iOS, system app, their operating system. So a lot of the functionality that they get in their operating system, we get in apps, and our apps are updated, like monthly. I get updates for my apps, almost every month. It seems like one of my apps are getting updated. But daily I get notifications. But if I try to imagine how often an app gets updated, an individual app, I would have to assume monthly, although I don't know. But it is daily. I get apps updates all the time. But that's very interesting to me. It's very compelling because a lot of the functionality we're relying on is provided by these apps. So Android sort of distributed that. It's sort of a distributed paradigm rather than, is that okay if I say that, Dave? It's sort of a distributed situation rather than, a centralized. Oh, it is? Oh, I didn't. But it's interesting, and it makes perfect sense, and I think it's compelling.
If you recall, that was kind of the direction that BlackBerry was starting to take with BlackBerry 10 too, because the carriers aren't pushing these apps forward. It's not that Android's not getting the same amount of updates as iOS. It's that iOS can push their updates directly to the phones, whereas Android has to go through the carrier, so a lot of people aren't getting those. So, I mean, we talk about the apps, and we're not really talking about the third-party apps that carry a lot of the OS functionality, but the core Google apps, right? Because, I mean, you look at an operating system update from 6 to 7, yeah, that's everything. But a lot of what we get are core apps that, other parts of the OS rely on, that those are getting updated. And that's, if you recall, that's where BlackBerry was also headed. Remember when they brought out that the Android player in BlackBerry world, instead of through an OS update, it was to get that Android player in everybody's hands. And so, I mean, it's really smart when you're having to deal with these carriers to be able to bypass them as much as possible.
Totally. And we also get security patch updates too. So we're getting...
Yes, we do.
We're getting those monthly, and we're getting app updates constantly. And, I'm really pleased. I'm really, really pleased.
Yeah, the Priv has been the real winner for the security updates, to be honest. And I'm not jaded or anything with the DTEC 60 because it seems kind of like it's been skipping every second month or whatever. I'm not necessarily worried or jaded about that. I think the DTEC 50 has been a little more consistent than the 60. And I think that's because it's been in carriers, and the DTEC 60 was never in a carrier anywhere, I don't think. But the Priv is still a down-home BlackBerry-produced, BlackBerry-responsible phone. And they've been the most consistent with that handset than the other offerings previous to the Key 1, I guess. So the Key 1's been pretty good so far.
Dave, what Android device, BlackDroid devices do you own right now? Just out of curiosity.
Just the Priv and the DTEC 60.
Okay. Does anyone have a 50 in our group, Brad?
I've got one. I've got one right here.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
I know Robert does too. And I think Robert did.
Robert has everything.
Yeah, he does.
He's got like 20. He's got like 20 freaking not playbooks. Passports. He could open a phone store.
He could. He's got them all over the house.
Yeah.
He's got unopened Blackberries all over the house. That's the thing. He's got D-Tech 50s and 60s that have never seen light. You know?
That's awesome.
It must be nice. That's all I can say.
Yeah, true that, man. So I wanted to just add one other thing, which is kind of an odd, ironic thing, is that I still use my Z30 every day. And I have one app on here which has a lot of important data for me personally anyway, business and personal. And it cannot be, it's not available in the Android, the Google Play Store. It's this one right here. It's called Vera. And they have it, but it doesn't have the same functionality. And I've been writing the dev and talking to him, and initially he was very responsive. Oh, we're going to have all the same functionality, and he's promising me. But I didn't hear back from him, and he was the one. I don't know if you guys recall, but I wrote a little blog about it a while back, and he was all excited about the blog, and he said it was the best review of his app anyone's ever seen or whatever. But so I do use my C30. So even though I'm totally on the Priv, but I still rely on this device because I still keep track of contacts on here, business contacts and projects and other stuff for my business. And I feel really good about it because I know it's not connected to the web. Even if it was, it wouldn't bother me because BB10 is so secure. So I'm kind of like a two-device guy right now, even though I'm on the Priv. So I don't know what that means. But I am right now. And until I can figure out a way to get all this data in some kind of format that's in a nice UI and really usable, that's what I'm going to have to keep doing.
Yeah, I mean, it really sounds like you need to find a way to export that information somehow.
Remember, that's what Blackjack was doing too forever. He was carrying his torch. He kept his torch forever because of one app that he used for probably the same sort of thing that you're using that one for.
No, that's not fair. I know exactly what he was doing, and it was insane. I love Monkey, but he is insane. Oh man, he is so funny. I could tell you what it is. It doesn't matter. It's a list app, and just the way you can sort with it, and he uses it for notes and everything, and it's a jumbled mess. He's got thousands and thousands and thousands of entries in it, and I don't know that he can ever go off of it. He's probably still got his torch. I'm sorry. He's hysterical. I love Monkey, but he's got his own system, so that's all I can say.
And if you talked about updates, the Meraputi device, the Aurora, received the July update, unlike Dave. And
hey, I hate you, man.
And also an update to the 7.1.1 Android OS.
And it was on what, 701 or 710?
7.0.
Okay.
So it's the first device that received an update from BlackBerry to 7.1.1. And maybe it's the start of the rolling for the other devices.
Well, I hope you're right. I mean, good for you, Indonesia, and thank you, Miraputa, for doing that and sort of, what do they call it? Throwing down the gauntlet kind of thing. Here, I got this thing with BlackBerry written on it, and I just gave it the latest kind of deal. Let's see TCL and BlackBerry and whoever else come to the party, bring it on.
Now, we're getting a lot of comments in our channel which is something else we'll talk about later, where people are asking, well, where's 7 for our devices? And I get it. I know that people want, the latest and greatest. But Roy, I know that you've been on Marshmallow and you're on the Key One now.
Yeah.
How much of a difference do you see it as from Marshmallow to Nougat?
Actually, if you told me that the Key One is a Marshmallow, I would believe you.
Yeah. There's
Sweet.
There's really two differences that I notice myself because, I'm a UI guy. I'm not a specs guy. I'm not diving through my settings to find stuff. The only thing I notice different is the drop-down notifications look a little different, and you can respond to BBM in the drop-down notification like you can to a text message.
I think maybe the settings menu is a little bit different. But
yeah, but that could also be, honestly, it could be, it's the amount of difference that from the settings menu from the Priv to the Key One is about what I'd expect going from one phone to another phone, right? It's nothing dramatic.
Yeah. Well, I have a pro tip for anyone on a DTEC 60 or 50 or a Priv that's wanting release 7 instead of 6. Go get yourself a permanent marker. And when you go into settings, just write 7 right on top of the 6 there, and it'll make you feel better. That's my pro tip for the week.
We're not liable for any damage to your phone caused by Dave.
I'm with both you guys, Roy and Dave. I'm not even worried about it at all, actually. In fact, based on what I know about Nougat, and because, what we discussed earlier, get the security patches, I'm getting the updates for my apps. My hardware's not changing. I don't care if I ever get Nougat on my Priv. Honestly, I love my Priv and I love the way it's working. It's working really great. I'm almost afraid to upgrade because sometimes, every once in a while you think, geez, I might get some issue I didn't know about or something, but I'm excited.
Yeah. You mean like my camera notifications?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But and I have no way of proving this, but I've been told that Nougat is, and I hate saying that. I've been told that 7 is basically just more secure than 6 is anyway, even with a July update. So I'm motivated to want to be there. I'm also a rabid freak for wanting upgrades, and I'll happily. I'm a Windows early adopter. So I'll take early software. I'm a beta guy. I always have been for BlackBerry. And I'll take it as soon as I can get it. But so if it is more secure than 6 is, then I want it.
Well, that being said, though, Cluely was on the Berry Report podcast, and they were kind of talking about that, and he brought up the fact that with the security updates, it's right there. If you're looking at the core Marshmallow Nougat, of course Nougat's newer, it's more secure, blah blah blah, but they're shoving all the security through on the updates that there's really no concern that your device is less secure because it's on Marshmallow. But at the same time, now we're starting to hear rumors that it's coming, right? Have you guys? I'm sure we've all heard this. I've heard September. I've heard once the rollout of the Key One is complete, which is still not completely rolled out across the world.
Yeah, that could be complete in. That rollout could be extended forever. But I get what you're saying. I heard the same rumors too, and to me, they're nothing but unsubstantiated rumors.
Exactly, they're just rumors. They're not hearing anything from BlackBerry on that. But just a few short weeks ago, everyone was convinced it was never coming, right? Now it seems more people are convinced it's coming. Just when is it coming?
No, I'm a diehard optimist. I never truly decided that it was never coming because I have faith. But especially for the SOC that's in this DTEC 60, I can't believe they wouldn't do that. This phone would rock that, no worries.
If it's rocking Marshmallow, it's not going to have any issue with. Honestly, dude, there's very little difference. Right. Like from lollipop to marshmallow was a difference I felt. From marshmallow to nougat, it's negligible. Like I'm not seeing anything.
God, I hate these name conventions. I just do. Sorry, but I do.
I'm getting tired of hearing you bitch about it.
Oh, shut up.
Let's see, for about the last 50 podcasts.
I don't care. It just sounds ridiculous.
Hey, Wayno, what's going on?
Speaking of bitches.
Yeah, right.
How are you, fellas?
And there goes any chance of having guests again. So, what's up, buddy?
Hey, did you fix your leak or what?
No, I got 2 leaking bathrooms. So, yeah, I've got to really get in, and both showers are leaking. So, we're in a bit of a wet patch.
That sucks when you go to take a leak and it gets you first.
Yeah,
it does. It does, especially when it runs down your leg.
Time for a walkabout house.
Hey. So I just thought I'd stick my head in for a quick 2 minutes and say good day. And there's a face there that I hadn't seen for a while. How are you, James?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you, man.
Do you two know each other?
Yeah,
kind
of. Well, I remember when he first came aboard, man. When I remember, speaking of which, where the hell is Chap?
Yeah, that's the old
Chap's
question
MIA. Yeah, we'll get him back one day.
Good.
He pops in with a comment now and then, and I beg him to come back, and he ignores me.
Yeah, I know. He ignores me too.
I think MIA in his case is minister in action or something.
Yes. We miss the old chap.
Yeah.
So Wayne, when you have leaks in Australia, don't they run the different way? So you're all good. It goes away. It doesn't. It's like in the northern hemisphere, it gets all messed up.
No, just
but
makes
in Australia, it's
wet.
okay.
The ceiling's wet.
I don't know. I'm just.
So yeah, I've got my job cut out for me. I've got to repair one shower so that we can at least have a shower tonight, and then the other one is a bit more major. I've got to do regrouting and all that sort of thing, and it apparently takes about 3 days before we can use that one. So out comes the tube of silicon for the quick fix, and then we'll do the grouting on the other bathroom tomorrow.
I am grout. Sorry.
And welcome to This Old House UTB edition.
Yes.
Well, Wayne, it sounds like you're handy and you got it under control.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. We it's amazing what you can do with a couple of tubes of silicon.
Just be sure you've got plenty of microfiber cloths, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, my supply's running out.
Well, you know where to replenish. I'm sure you can fix that.
All right, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you, but I'll be watching on YouTube while I silicon up these showers. So enjoy your podcast, and I'll catch you.
I feel properly Wayno'd. Thank you.
Oh, well, yeah. My wife's gone shopping and she's not cracking the whip at the moment, so I thought I'd duck on for 5 minutes. All right, fellas, have a good one.
Now you can duck off. See ya.
Bye, Wayno.
It's just
that was short and sweet.
Worse. It's getting worse and worse every week.
Why, Brad?
We're approaching number 100. We should be like getting more professional and more. We're reverting. We're going straight back.
Well, we're good little boys when we have, the right kind of guest on,
James, did you see last week's?
I didn't. I've been underwater.
Good. Nobody should. So.
No, that's not true.
The shame.
That's not
shot
true.
on BlackBerry. Shot on BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a hashtag.
Say it again, yeah.
Shout out BlackBerry. Okay.
Okay, yeah, not shout on, shot on. It's a hashtag that we brought out. It was back when Apple was doing their shot on iPhone campaign, right? It's like, well, shoot,
Right.
we can take good pictures. And we asked a bunch of people to utilize that, and I think it kind of fell by the wayside really fast. There are a few people out there that once I go searching for it that never stopped using it, right? I mean, it's still out there. It's still a consistent hashtag. And so we came up with the idea of, maybe we can retweet and repost people's photos, primarily because our Instagram was really sad. I think I had a picture of my dog, picture of my passport on it, and really nothing else. The response that we've had has been overwhelming. I'm still trying to get to photos that we receive like within the first couple of days. So if people are waiting for us to post their photos, I'm sorry, but I try and work on the side a little bit. I do have a job, and there's a point where I need to eat. So I'm posting as I go, but I'm thinking of moving it off of the UTB Blogs channel and onto its own channel and its own social media accounts. Just because as far as like what we use our Twitter for, specifically Twitter and BBM channels, not really our Instagram, is sharing our posts, right? And we're getting a lot more like great submissions than we have posts. So I'm just worried that it's making it a little more difficult for people that use those our posts. So I already have an @ShotOnBB Twitter account that's just a placeholder right now, an @ShotOnBB Instagram, and I can very easily do an @ShotOnBB BBM channel. And the reason it's @ShotOnBB as opposed to @ShotOnBlackberry is because there's already somebody with that on Instagram. So, so I mean, what do you guys?
But they're
think
not
about
as
that?
good.
Actually, no, they're great because they like most of the photos that people are taking. So I mean, they're polite.
Yeah,
I haven't spoke to them, so that's good. It's good. So I mean, what do you guys think?
I think that it's up to the masses, and if the masses want to carve it out and have their own awesome special place to showcase their photos and artwork, then all the more power to them. I would like to subscribe and submit to that too. Just haven't done it yet. But if people want to do that, then and we have a vehicle to showcase their stuff, then I think that's great. But it's all about content. So don't want to start something that people don't want. So if you want it, say so. Be vocal, and if we can make that space for you, then why not?
So Brad, you sound like we've touched a nerve, or you've touched a nerve with this, and I think you got to go forward with it. And be nice to have UTB somehow involved with the the branding of it. But either way, sounds fun, and something that everyone takes pictures on their phone, and I think it sounds like a good idea. It's fun. I have several pictures I would love to submit. Nature and stuff that I've been capturing on my Priv. I love the Priv camera. It's better than any of the other BlackBerry cameras I've ever had, and I think it's a neat idea.
You'd be amazed too. I don't know if you've looked, but if you look at the channel and if you look at the Instagram and Twitter, there are some amazing photos out there. I was expecting a lot of snapshots, right? I was expecting a few photos and I'd be like, oh, that's cool. There are professional quality photos coming in. Like, I am amazed at what some people have done with their phones. Like, you'd look at these and you'd never imagine this was taken with a cell phone. This is somebody that's obviously got their DSLR up on a tripod waiting for the perfect scene. And
I obviously have the channel favorited, so it's funny. You hear the bing and the ding and the ding, get it going. It's like, holy crap! And then you look at the photos, and it's like, wow, this guy really thought about this, or
Yeah.
wow, what a cool opportunity. That was a great shot that you caught, you know. It might have been just a snap decision as opposed to something well thought out, but it was still awesome. Or, you know, there's just some really good photos there. Really nicely done.
So you guys know, Grim has been involved with professional photography for a long time as a retailer and also as a photographer. And, you know, I've talked to him and chatted with him about photography at times and still keep up with him. But, you know, his basically attitude is, you know, if you want a real picture, you got to have an SLR. And I get that. But I think the thing that's neat about these mobile devices and and the technology advances that they have is that, and I'm not a photographer, but I do know this. There's like, if you're trying to catch, let's just say like a sunset or a sunrise, there's like a matter of like 120 seconds, or there could be a matter of like 20 seconds where the light is just a certain way. And you either have to have all of your equipment sitting there waiting for that and know what you're looking for, or you just happen to be there and you happen to have your phone. And I think sometimes a lot of these people, these pictures are probably, everybody always has their phone. They happen to be looking at something and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to take like 20 pictures and I know one of them will be best and I'll delete the others. I mean, that's what I do. And, you know, every once in a while you're going to get a really awesome shot because, camera technology keeps improving.
Yeah, that's me. I'm an in the moment kind of a person, and I'm not going to pack around a bunch of stuff. I'm just not as into it as some other people I know who are not insanely, but seriously into the DLSR or DSLR or just SLRs. Multiple lenses, this and that and the other thing. I'm just an in the moment kind of a picture taker, not a photographer, and that's the thing. You got your phone on you, and boom, wow, that looks cool. I'll find the shot now.
That's what I love about it. I mean, you've got it on you all the time, right? I'm like, my BlackBerry is always on me, and I rarely have a camera with me. I mean, it's just it's so convenient, and with how the quality of these things, like I couldn't believe the Priv camera. I couldn't believe how great the Priv camera was. Now I can't believe the Key 1. I mean, it's like everything that's great about the Priv, but it's fast. You know, you just click, 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 and boom, it's there. I'd love to be able to take some of the photos like these guys are sending in right now. It's incredible to me, and I wonder how many of those photos would have never existed had these guys not had their BlackBerry on them. Mm-hmm. Right? If they were waiting for a time that they had their camera, we wouldn't be seeing all these amazing photos right now. That's for sure.
You know, I was on the beach, Brad, and for the sunrise a couple of times. It's a very peaceful time, and it's really beautiful, and it's not something I get to see very often. And of course, you're on the left coast, so you'll never see it. But and anyway, I'm taking pictures, and then I look at them, and I learned that if you want to take some pictures in portrait, because you might want to use one for your screen, say your wallpaper, So I wound up taking some, and some of them came out, and there's like this really gorgeous blue hue all over, because the sun had not come up over the horizon; it was still down. But the light was coming, and but there was this light blue hue over the clouds and the water and the sand. And I don't know how I got that. I didn't do that. I didn't edit it for color or anything, but it's gorgeous. And so, that's just a matter of, and I took like 30 or 40 pictures, and only 2 or 3 of them came out that way. So I'm clipping along. I don't know how long that lasted, but it was a matter of seconds or a minute or something.
How much tequila does it take to wake up on the beach?
I think it's kind of the other way around. Or maybe you're right. Maybe wake up on the beach, yeah. There's big machines, Dave. They come by. You can't be sleeping on the beach, brother. They suck you right up and then put you over into the trash.
It's not good.
Well, you know what, Dave? When you get a little further south, we do actually camp on the beach. I know up there you got to look out for penguins and stuff, right? But down here, people camp on the beach.
All kidding aside, was a long time ago when the earth was green, but me and my buddy had an old 60s Volkswagen Beetle. And we took a ferry over to Vancouver Island and went to the furthest place west possible on the beach at Tofino. And back then you were allowed to drive on the beach. And so we took this Beetle on the, I'll make this a short story-ish. We took this Beetle for a drive on the beach and we rolled it.
Ooh.
And well, this thing was a hilarious thing. We lost a fender on the way up the highway. Anyway, so Herbie was in much better condition. Anyway, dating myself there. So we rolled it on the beach and we go, man, we can't push this thing back over. It's, you know, we'll come back later. And so we go away, have something to eat, and we come back down and it is stripped. Like in 2 hours, somebody had come down there with tools and removed the engine, the transmission, and anything else they could get their mitts on, including the Blauplunked radio in the dash, as it sat there upside down like a crab that can't right itself. And then the tide came in and went back out, and it was gone.
Dude.
Lost a car that weekend.
How do you tell that to your insurance company?
You don't bother. It's just not worth it. Not worth it.
Well, first we left it there, and then
seriously, somebody went down there, and it was like, what? Like ants. It got stripped in like 2 hours. It was phenomenal.
It's like a lot of vultures picking.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't know even.
Do you have anything, Roy? You've been kind of quiet. Trying to pull us back to BlackBerry. Welcome to UTB Volkswagen.
I just read a news from Reuters about Telegram. It's blocked in Indonesia because of concerns about security, about radical and terrorist propaganda that used in Telegram. And it seems
I
that
heard that Russia was talking about the same thing, or am I off base there?
I didn't hear about Russia, but I know Russia blocked BlackBerry, Baz, the block Baz or UEM. But it seems that the countries are moving ahead and trying to block messaging services for reasons.
Yeah.
Good reasons. But I think that in Indonesia, BBM is the biggest messaging app. So
it is. So it's probably not going to affect that many people, except for, you know, those BBM groups that moved on to Telegram. If you're suddenly missing, you know, your Indonesian friends, you know where you can talk to them. Get your ass back on BBM.
You're not talking about anyone specific. You're just making a generalization.
Just a generalization.
Oh, I know.
The one or two contacts that suddenly they send a blanket message to everybody saying, if you need me, I'm on Telegram. You can find me here. And you're just like, okay, delete. And it was nice knowing them. Now they're just ghosts of what they were. I mean, I know I'm in the minority when it comes to this. I do not like the unbreakable end-to-end encryption. What these people are claiming their apps can do in order to not have to answer to governments. You know what I mean? It's like we do not have a safe space for crime on our computers. We don't have it at home. We don't have it at work. We don't have it on our landline phones. We don't have it anywhere. But for some reason, people think we should have it on our cell phones. And you know, I'm talking about the U.S. here. I know that we got different countries represented here and definitely listening to us. But I mean, you have to be able to abide by search laws here. it's not like the government should be able to just come in and spy on you, which we know that they were doing before. But if there is an investigation and it's a lawful warrant and it's lawful cause, they should be able to get their information. And what's happening now is you've got, Timmy Cook, and you've got Facebook, and you've got WhatsApp, and you've got Telegram, and all these places saying, screw the laws of the lands that we're operating in. This is what we're going to do. And personally, I think that should just be stopped. I think it should be crushed, because I don't like the idea of people thumbing their nose at the laws of the countries that they're operating in. So that was me on my soapbox for a minute.
Yeah, but encrypted messages are only encrypted in the transition.
That's true
messages.
too.
So when it lands in your device, it's not much encrypted, and everybody can read it if you unlock the device.
Yeah, there was a hooferaw about I think Telegram's integration into the hub, and people were sniveling that through some update or a mistake or a bug or I don't know what, the hub was unencrypting Telegram messages. And I'm going, well, you have to read it. And if someone has access to your phone, they can read it. And, so what is the ultimate encryption? Is that your brain is encrypted? And so you're the only one that can read it? Come on. What difference does it make? And I don't know. I'm fine with the encryption in general. I'm fine with security. I don't have a problem with those things. But as Brad is alluding to, if the government properly comes knocking on your door and says, dude, there's this stuff going on and I need access to these particular messages from these particular people so that we can keep everybody on planet Earth safe, or this country, or wherever I am, then if you don't do it, then you're what, a traitor? I don't know. I mean, we need to keep the place safe. So if there's nasties using it, I vote we get rid of the nasties, or at least be able to figure out what they're doing.
And Tim Cook, I agree.
I agree with you guys, and I'm not saying that just because I'm on this thing. I do agree, and I read into my perception when that happened in the situation in, what was it, Northern California or whatever, and then they found the phone and they wouldn't. Apple said, "Well, we can't get in it," and all this. I just thought that was
arrogant.
Yeah, grandstanding, taking advantage of the situation, trying to get some bonus points in the marketplace. That's just how I read it. But, look, I could be wrong. But the other comment I want to make is I've found that I'm not remotely an encryption expert at all, but I've found that it's very complicated. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's where is the key stored? How's it generated? All kinds of things involved with this back end servers and everything. And I just, it's very easy to misrepresent what's really happening with average customer. They hear encryption, they think, okay, great, but that's not the whole story. How is it encrypted and what does that mean? I think so. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but it's not an easy thing to understand for me anyway. Sometimes.
No, I hear you on that. And even being the bit of a geek I am, it's, the exact form or creation of how this is done. And, I'm not that kind of an expert at all. I get the gist of it. I understand how it's used in certain applications, and we use it in our business too. And in the end, it's to keep your average idiot or jerk out of your things. And that's why things like HTTPS, so that your secure web browsing exists, so that you can do safe online banking with the browser on your PC, or with the browser on your phone, or with the app on your phone. They're using secure web protocols to make those things happen. so that your average jerk with internet sniffing tools can't see what you're doing. You know, what is your account number? What is you know, what are you doing with your account number? They can't see those things. So all of those things are great, but let's face it. Again, as Brad alluded to, when the FBI comes knocking on your door and wants to know what Fred Flintstone is doing with this particular bank account, whether he did it with his encrypted PC connection or not, they're going to give it to him. So why you think that you don't have to comply with that with the frickin' telegram messages between you and grandma, I don't get it. I just don't get it. That's just it.
All of these protections were originally meant, and it's what it was to protect the users from the bad guys. Now, with the arguments that they're making and what they're not even the arguments that they're making, because they're still saying they're protecting the user from the bad guys. But the fact of the matter is, they're protecting the bad guys, right? They're protecting the bad guys from the government authorities, and they're putting their average, law-abiding user at risk.
That's the byproduct. Yeah, it's the byproduct of thinking you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, Tim Cook with the iPhone and the Apple encryption and the multiple requests for it, literally. I mean, if you've been following the story and you follow the stories that came immediately following that, it was terrorists, it was murderers, it was suspects in murder. These are the people that was being protected. Never mind the fact that I know the one murder case where they were trying to figure out who murdered the woman. She was an iPhone user, right? She was the user that you should be trying to protect. But they wouldn't unlock her phone so they could check her messages to see who was threatening her right before they shot her in front of her child. So, I mean, it's like, how about we get back to the greater good and stop worrying about our marketing at the risk of citizens?
And that's all it was, is just marketing, because you know damn well they complied with the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of requests over the years previous to this all coming to the forefront. There's real evidence out there that they've been complying, just like BlackBerry does on a normal basis. Oh, you need access to this, then I'll give it to you. You have a proper reason to know this information, and I'm operating in the country that you're asking me about, then I'm going to give it to you. You know, and in some cases it's metadata, and they don't have any of the down hard data, but they'll give you what you're asking for if they can. That's doing business properly in the country that you are doing business in. Who the hell are you to make your own country then, if that's what you're all about?
BB in the comments says Facebook allegedly helped Pakistan find a guy who they say blasphemed. The government killed the man. Was it right of Facebook to help Pakistan? And you know what? I'm going to give a quick answer. I think it's up to the business as far as what they're going to abide by, because, I mean, like, BlackBerry was pulling out of Pakistan, right? They were not going to abide by what they didn't feel was a lawful and just cause. Do you think saying somebody was practicing or, was blasphemy, was that a reason to give somebody the information? For a Western-based company, I sure wouldn't think so. I haven't heard this story. I have no idea what he's talking about. That seems like something I would have heard something about, but I haven't heard anything of that sort, especially with Facebook being one of these companies that's denying government requests. At the same time, I mean, it comes down to that whole Western values.
Hey, I maybe I haven't thought this through enough, but if you're going to do business in the country, in a particular country, then I think that you should be abiding by that country's laws. And I don't know what to say. Either that or just get out. I don't
agree.
BlackBerry said they'd get out.
Exactly.
BlackBerry said they'd get out, and the country relented. Was that Pakistan or?
It was Pakistan, and they also did that with India, where they were ready to pull out, and then the countries that
They
backed out.
relented. Yeah, they relented. So, have just because you have a particular attitude or idea doesn't mean it is either good for the rest of the planet or it's within that particular country's rules of law and engagement and whatever. That's, if you're going to do business there, I don't get why you're imposing your values on them. That's none of your business.
Exactly. Back with the whole encryption debate, Tim Cook should have just left the country. That's it. leave the country, take your iPhones with you, head off to maybe China where they're manufactured. That would be good.
Or Ireland where they're headquartered.
Yeah, exactly. Go to Ireland where your home base is, where you pay taxes less than 0.001%. Yeah, I agree.
And I think it kind of, I thought it was kind of interesting how that little hacker group or that small company found a way to get past their encryption anyway. After what's the matter of a couple of weeks? I don't remember, Brad. You probably remember.
It was a couple of hours.
Celebrate.
They offered when it was like this. They've had enough. We still don't know exactly who it was and blah blah blah.
I think it was Cellbrite. I think it was.
Yeah, I think Cellbrite.
Yeah.
But it was literally a couple of hours, and they're like, "Here you go."
Was it really?
It was. It was.
Yeah.
They take the phone. They say, "Here's the phone," and it was like an hour and a half later. They're like, "Here's the phone, completely open."
Yeah.
And it would have. Here's the thing to remember too. It would have taken, according to Tim Cook, Apple engineers a whole team of them. What was it, 3 months to break? So maybe Apple needs to recruit a little better.
Well, let's face it, Brad. If you need 600 guys to do your camera app, then you have an issue with security. Can't figure that stuff out. Idiots.
Well, it's hard to get your new camera to wash out the colors so that it looks like a watercolor painting. It takes 600 people to do that.
Did I say that out loud? I think so. Sorry, dudes.
Did we have anything else before I hit my last topic?
No. Continue.
Okay, this is going to be really quick and easy and painless. Channel comments are going away again. It's gotten to be too much. It was a test. I liked having the comments there. It's great to see people back commenting again, but I am spending entirely too much time deleting comments. The first couple of days I was just deleting comments, things in foreign languages, people asking for PIN, people hitting on people, people spamming and trying to sell their penis growth pumps.
You can exclude countries from the channel.
Yeah, but I don't want to exclude countries from the channel. I just want to be able to have I want to be able to have those people.
I have an idea. We can open the UTB dating channel.
Tell you what, you open that on your phone and you leave notifications on. Because I'll be honest, I left notifications on, right? I left them on. They come in all the time, and that wasn't a problem. I knew because I wanted to be able to see it. And, I go to bed, I wake up in the morning, and I have to go in and I have to delete about 50 comments. And they're not just commenting on our current posts. They're going way back and spamming and pinning, and it is out of control.
That is really disappointing because when I really like the comments, the proper and or good or the kind of comments that are engaging in our channel, and I always find it fun. There's a lot of great people there, and there's some people that pretend that they're there and they're not. So it's really a shame that we'd have to deny a great resource and a great fun time for a bunch of people for the sake of getting rid of a pile of spam. And it is what it is. I'm not blaming, you know, I'm not dissing the idea of turning it off. I just find it extremely disappointing because I think it's such another great way of engaging with people quite instantaneously. You know what I mean? It's, you get the notification, you can see there's a new comment, you get a ding when somebody replies to you. It's just, it can be a pile of fun. And so it's really disappointing to be put in a situation where you want to turn it off because of a bunch of people ruining it for the rest of us.
It's a great platform, but it really is a case of people running it for others. Like, because after that second warning that I posted, I just started banning people. You know, it wasn't a case of delete them and try and get them not to. It was insta-block every time. And it's still not slowing down. I mean, I have blocked hundreds of people over the last couple of days, and it's not slowing down.
That's just sad. Yeah, and it's a completely different culture. I don't get it. I don't understand even why it happens in the first place. Who the hell has the time of day to want to even do stuff like that? There's dedicated sites for stuff like that. What are you doing wasting your time in something that we have nothing to do with like that? We're just trying to portray, you know, give some information and get some people engaged in BlackBerry and whatnot. And well, why the hell would you even think this was a place to do that stuff? It's just ridiculous. Sorry, guys, but you're ridiculous.
They're not going to be hearing that, Dave. They're out.
I don't care. It makes me good to say it. It makes me feel good.
They're as you're speaking it, they're running through our channel sharing pins.
Yeah, don't talk about pins around Roy.
That's a callback.
Roy actually looks like he's reasonably well rested.
Yeah, it's 7 a.m.
Oh, I wouldn't pin that on Roy.
Brother Nil said maybe they're robots. Well, those are some horny ass robots. That's all I gotta say.
Autonomous horny robots.
Sexy metal Barbies.
So you guys heard about the well, it's probably a bad subject. Forget it.
Don't.
Well, the Pornhub, the different devices you can attach to Pornhub, and you guys heard about that story, right?
Yeah,
can't say that I have. Tell us all about it there.
I don't know. I don't know
all
if
right,
we should be doing
wait.
this.
What's going on when you wake up at the beach?
I don't know everything, okay? Here's what I know. You can be watching a Pornhub video, and you can have an apparatus, a physical apparatus device with you, and this device will interact with the video and the video will cause the device to do things at the appropriate times.
I think I saw a GIF of that.
I'm just saying.
Subscribe to.
That gag you had was right, perfectly timed. Yeah.
Man, Wado's not even here.
Oh man.
You could be a user.
Yeah, maybe there's a reason for that.
Yeah, there's not really a leak in the shower.
Yeah. It's not.
Just upgrading his house to 220 volts so he can. Never mind.
Yeah. More gadgets.
Well, I think I made the whole blogcast was just deteriorated because of me, I guess.
Well, the Nielsen rating went down. I don't know about anything else.
Okay, so I'll be sure to mark this one explicit. And
oh, come on. I don't think we even said any bad words.
No, I don't think we did.
No.
All right.
Suggested
So
content.
should we call? Hey, thanks for coming back, James. You know you're always welcome here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's fun, actually. It's fun to see you guys.
Right on. Well, we'll have you on again ASAP.
Sounds good.
He's one of us. He can just click the friggin' link. He's always too busy for UTB.
Yeah, well, you know what it's like, bottle of tequila, beach, wake up. I don't know.
Porn up.
Yeah.
I wish that was my life.
Something, maybe snap a picture. I don't know.
Okay, I'm pushing the button. Roy's shaking his head.
Good idea.
Good night,
Very
folks.
good idea. Good night.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.